Hello, my name is John Sveck. Welcome to this All 24 video. Today, Coach Waterman and I are joined by a special guest, Coach Sheldon Gray, who is the defensive coordinator of the Regina Rams. Thanks for being with us, Coach.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Awesome. So, Coach is going to use some video to break down some scheme for us. So, looking forward to it. I'll give you the floor here, Coach.
For sure. So again, we're predicating on who the stunt is and the blitz. So we have a weak, all right, with a Zach loop. So the Zach again, field inside linebacker. So we're gonna have a loop stunt here. So if we run through this play, you can kind of see the outside goes first. Okay, he kind of eats that double. All right, as you can see there, he's eating the double. The inside linebacker to the field side kind of has that mesh. All right, it's pretty quick inside. He doesn't have a quarterback space, so he's going to play straight down to the back. Kind of doesn't come super tight here, but as you can see, because that defensive end is eating that double, the rush end is eating that double, Zach comes free, and the Mac, who's the inside linebacker to the boundary side, is going to come free for a tackle. Now this is an exhibition game against Manitoba, so these are some young dudes on both sides. So I thought this would be good to show that these guys are right out of high school. Three of these linebackers, 1, 2, 3, are right out of high school for us. So they're coming through. They're just learning this. This is after 5 days of training camp. So you can see that.
Real excited coming through. You can tell the guys
Absolutely
fired up.
Yeah. So let's see this from the end cut here. Again, that loop outside is going to be first, and this guy's going to come around. This guy will be here, and then this guy kind of has this gap, and he's going to kind of be free to see. It's all about eating that double so the penetrator kind of gets stopped dead in his tracks. So at that point, he just wants to eat that double, and our Zach comes through. You can see he's super excited. He's got to learn to see that if he sees the back number of that quarterback, he's just going to go to the back. If he sees the front number, now that he has to get to that match. Now this is real fire, real bullets here. First game of the season for us against UBC, and we see the double tight set here. Not a big deal for us. We kind of run normal. We don't really care about the set here. We're going to run our front because we feel comfortable in the four-man front. We can see the loop again. Kind of gets caught up on the guard, which he shouldn't, but tries to occupy. We get good set by the Mac linebacker in this loop, and we get pretty good penetration, get the ball back off of balance, and our free safety comes up and fits in.
So even with the tight end, your linebacker he's still the C gap player.
Correct, right. So we have that kind of see the Will who's off screen here. He'd be the E gap player on the tight end. Right. So ideally, we get that step. We would like our end here to get more vertical, right? So as soon as he gets that step away from him, he wants to come off that tackle's butt and get vertical right away, try to get that tackle to stop the speed a little bit. But we get a pretty good job by our Mac linebacker. He's trying to fit up the tackle. He's a big tackle, he's a big 6'8" dudes. We know we got a lot of work to do, but kind of get knocked off, get a fill, and get a pretty good result out of that play.
And Coach, when you run that loop with an outside zone coming at your defensive end first, that's a pretty tough one for you to try to redirect and get vertical on that, is it?
Yeah, he's trying to read off that inside hip of the tackle. So if he sees that hip go right away, he doesn't even need to take a step inside. He can just go vertical right away, right? So we're always kind of drilling these guys in their steps. So we would just call that an L1 step, right? So he should just, as soon as he sees that hip go that way, he's just going to L1 and get vertical right away. So does take some practice. It does take a lot of work just doing those steps over and over and over again. React, step, but that's why we practice, I guess.
And your nose tackle on these weak and strong movements, is that similar? I mean, he's stepping to a certain gap, and now he has to also react. The gap's either retreating away from him or coming towards him, depending on the movement, right?
Yeah, exactly. He should be doing the exact same thing. Yeah, essentially, he gets that back door, which is awesome for him, right? And very rarely does he just not get touched by the center. So he should back door, and he should go right away too. So he should be playing on the left side of, or yes, his right side of that guard and getting more vertical quickly. But again, first game of the year, so we're kind of knocking some rust off a little bit too. but that's ideally the best situation. He gets that step away, he gets vertical right away, and knocks that guard off his path.
Coach,
Perfect.
will you on that loop there? Will you allow? Are you automatically going to send down your linebacker down, or can he play from depth at times?
No, he can play from depth. We allow those guys to have a little bit of flexibility. We allow them to have a little bit of freedom in it. There are certain times where we say go down because we know that this is a pull team. We want to get aggressive on it. But generally, we're trying to time that up, play with it a little bit, and once the third quarter hits, they kind of have a really good understanding of how they can play it and how they can time things up a little bit better. All right, so one last loop here. Again, with the weak Zach loop. Okay, at a 41, it really doesn't matter for us. We're still going to blitz this. Okay, so this is a good example of the add-in. So it's an issue for some people, but we do a pretty bad job of it here. Our Sam linebacker is supposed to add into the D gap, and he gets caught in the E gap. All right, so he tries to get across that guy's face. Ideally, with alignment, he should be a little bit tighter. That way he doesn't have to go as far to get across his face. That kind of widens that gap for us. Or Zach kind of has to play that C gap, play that down block by the slot back. Our Sam needs to play inside of 85 here with gap cancellation. If he gets caught outside, and that's why he gets caught for a pretty big run. So a couple twists that we can kind of see just for reference. So Mac twist, so it should happen on the boundary side. So he's going to go first. Okay, so he does a very good job here of getting penetration through the guard. The tackle gets lost. So we get a free run by the end. Boom, boom. And we get some good penetration. Now we get two guys kind of both missing blocks, and we get some good penetration. We get a TFL here. And so good penetration by the Mac. He is going through the guard. So that's a left arm rip we talked about, trying to get essentially behind the tackle. All right, at that point now, they're trying to switch it, but it's too late. Our end here has the ability to get around, through. We get an extra filler. And this is Zach twist to the field side. So he just kind of beats him clean across his face. All right. Getting held pretty good in there, but no one calls that. Good. Get that. And then from there, he's trying to get up into the C. He sees that it's inside zone. So he knows he doesn't have to get out and extend that C. He wants to keep that C as close as possible, keep that box as tight as possible, make that running back step up into all the bodies, including the rush end who's coming around. This is the one where we get a down block, so we get an exchange of responsibilities from the Zach to the rush. Ideally, he stays a little bit more firm in that B gap. He's still trying to get around, which he shouldn't from here, right? You should right in this gap. He's trying to get around, which he should. And this guy should be going to mesh. When we say mesh, we want to get to the exchange point, which is here. He gets caught up a little bit tight. You can see he kind of gets caught up a little bit tight. He should be more in the mesh here. He gets caught up kind of inside the back from there. So he's a little bit out of place for the pass. But again, we get a quarterback throwing on the run. That's usually advantageous for us. Not exactly how they want to be throwing the ball for sure. Kind of look at this one, we can see that the end actually jitters down to it, right? So he kind of, instead of trying to get in there with speed, we just jitter into it and it turns into an abbreviated forefront for us. So we can jitter it, we can show it. We'll have those guys come in and if they're running a loop, we'll just kind of line up in a 4-eye instead of coming across his face. So it gives us a lot of flexibility. Just that one blitz concept can get us into a 5 front, get us into a 4 front. We can run it out of the 4. It makes it a pretty effective blitz for us.
And Coach, do you usually, as you prep for this and you go into a game plan, do you think about sort of formationally how you might want to use it? I know you talked about the back a little bit and being offset, but if it's a pistol back, you look at statistics and analysis in terms of how you might want to use it against the teams you're playing?
Right. So when because we see a ton of pistol, we rarely see gun strong, gun weak. Very much pistol. We're almost like 80% pistol. And if it's not, then it's usually a passing down where they just want to set up early. Quite often what we'll do is we'll predicate the third receiver, and we'll just change our stunt. Instead of just going weak, we'll actually pinch this guy in, pinch this guy in, and pinch this guy in, let him take care of the C gap, the blitz from there, and have our Sam kind of really cut out of the box. So he's not in the box at all. He's not a box defender. We let him take care of him. So we minus him from the box. We add the will into the box, where now we take care of the run here, and we'll predicate it on where the third receiver is. So the will now has C gap instead of this end having C gap and the will having the B gap. So we'll do that quite a bit because we see so much 32. We'll actually predicate a lot of our blitzes just on where that third receiver is, because the back is not giving us a real good indication of where he's going to pass block or where the run's going to be.